All right, so I'm just going to get started here, and welcome everybody. I think we'll have people joining in as we go here. My name is Scott Brubaker. I'm a broker with Royal LePage Middletown Realty, and welcome to our Boomers on the Move. And I just wanted to introduce a little bit about what we're covering off here. We're going to start at 1. We just started, and then we'll go till 3:30, and we'll probably finish up before 3:30, but we've got Todd Irvine, project manager for Toronto Estate Services, Heather Holderback, financial planner, Angela Higgins will be joining us, Gidget is with us today already, Krista Lesage, and John Weber will be joining us soon. So the workshop really is all about downsizing challenges for baby boomers. It's the demographic that that we grew up with. When I'm a boomer, I was born in the early 60s, and it was a demographic that was big. Like, the schools were full all the time. Everything we did was kind of like a lot of kids around. And then as we grew up and went through life, there was kind of that bulge of a demographic as we grew up, and here we are today. So in researching the challenges facing boomers who are downsizing their home, I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of boomers and came up with the 3 main challenges: that where to move, what to do with all your stuff, and stay or go. Should you stay and stay where you are, or should you go and find something else that's more suitable to what you want? And there's challenges related to stay or go of, there's adult children, there's aging parents, there's the finances of trying to make a decision on what you should do next. So Christine, my wife, and I, we're on the journey of trying to figure out what we're doing next. We're still a few years away from deciding or from doing anything, but we recently took a trip to France, and we really kind of wanted to get out of the box and start to figure out what our next things are in our journey. And so recently, the Mustel group with Sotheby's did a survey of baby boomers and what they want, and they found that the style of home that was preferred was going to be a condominium. 51% were looking for the amenities of a condominium, and I guess the ease of living in a condominium. 34% of boomers were expecting that they would be resizing or downsizing into a single-family home, and some were looking at like a triplex or a townhome style of living as well. So further to that survey, they found boomers were looking for safety, transit friendliness, kind of the top things anyway that boomers were reporting that they were looking for. And I think proximity to family is important for a lot of boomers, although maybe the need to stay in the city of where we live now isn't as necessary as other things. So it all kind of started for boomers in the 80s when a lot of them graduated from school, moved to the GTA, got a job, married, had kids, and bought a big family home, and that was my situation as well. And then now, turn the clock to 2022, there's over 35% of boomers now that are planning to resize their home within the next 5 years across Canada. And that was according to the Royal LePage Boomer Trend Survey that they did recently in June this year. So it's pretty up-to-date information. I think a lot of boomers want to move to the outskirts of the GTA. Some want to use equity to fund retirement. Others don't. So bungalows, townhouses, and high-rise condos are important. And recreational properties have definitely been a big draw as well. And also Florida, like properties in places like Florida as well. So according to the Royal LePage Boomer Trend Survey, there was a few stats that came out that was interesting. Lots of boomers already own a second property. I think a lot of baby boomers are helping their kids to buy homes now, and because of the prices that we've seen, and a lot of kids are moving other places too. Like Alberta is a big draw for the millennials now to to go out and live, because it's hard to afford to buy a house here in the GTA or surrounding areas now. So if you look at the charts, home ownership was a good decision for anybody that bought a home. Most baby boomers bought a home back in the 80s. You can see that even with a little blip here in 2017, when we saw the financial turmoil in the markets, the prices have continued to go up, and it's continued to be a good investment. And I believe it will continue to be a good investment, because there's just a huge demand for homes right now. So 3 years ago, the Toronto Star reported on baby boomers not having a place to go. And there's over 5 million spare bedrooms in Ontario, which is a 25-year worth supply of construction, which is like unbelievable. So we've seen in the news lately that that the governments are trying to address the housing shortage, but it's been predicted for a while, and what we're seeing now is really just the result of a lot of immigration, the demographics of the millennials now having families, foreign students, buying homes, coming here to study, and Canada is a safe haven for family and finance. So a lot of like people are coming to Canada and buying homes and moving here, because it's one of the #1 places to live in the world. And a lot of investment as well. A lot of baby boomers even are buying second or third homes and renting them out. So there's a lot of investors in the market now as well. And Canada just hasn't kept up with the population growth overall, and that it's I think pretty known that we're 1.8 million homes short across Canada, based on what other G7 countries are doing. I did a blog on what's fueling soaring Mississauga house prices, and you can go and have a look at that. And I'll send out the link for all of this after the workshop. So there's 2 more people in the waiting room here. I'll go ahead and admit those. There we go. So if we look at Mississauga, and I'm based out of Mississauga. I think we have visitors here from all over this area, but certainly in Mississauga, we've seen a 20% change in house prices in the last year, and that's on the freehold side. On the condominium market, we've seen a 14% change in the median price, and they say that this year that condos are probably going to do pretty well, condo apartments in terms of price growth, because that's what's affordable now for a lot of people, is the freeholds. If you look at the average price now in Mississauga, it's over $1 million for that's your average house, and detached is well above that. I think you're looking at probably around 1.4. So I've always gone to Maclean's. Every year they do a best places to live, and I'd recommend that you go there and have a look. You can look. You can see the. It's a website, so you can actually dial in your own requirements, I guess, as affordability and taxes and weather and amenities. So Halifax was rated #1 across Canada, and the East Coast, you can see a lot of Maclean's rated the East Coast highly. Fredericton, Charlottetown, Halifax. St. Thomas is down on Lake Erie, just south of London. Belleville was the top choice across Canada. Edmonton and Winnipeg, certainly affordability out there is much better. And then another high ranking from Moncton. Last year it was Ottawa was the top choice. So things changed. I think with the price increases across different cities, Maclean's takes that into account in the affordability standpoint of things as well. So it's you can go in and dial up your own weightings as well. So some of my considerations, if you're considering, where to move, is first off, get your spouse's agreement. It's a good idea to have a good conversation about, where you want to go and what you want out of your life if you're moving or downsizing. The cost of living is important, proximity to family and friends. I think a growing community is important because you want to go, if you're leaving a community where you've been for some period of time and you're going to a new community, it would be really nice to have people welcome you when you get there, and like things like social clubs, community service clubs, kind of a things to do kind of a community where it's kind of event driven, like places like Collingwood, where there's always things that are going on that are, there's always things you can join into, and lots of people involved with that part of it. Can I just do a quick poll from everybody that's on here? It won't be a poll, but if you just put a comment in there of where you're from, what city, and where you think you want to move, and what kind of style of home you're looking for. If you could just put a note in the comments, that would be appreciated. Okay, let's see now. Okay, so my suggestion is to, one of the speakers can't get into the session for some reason. My suggestion is to make a list to get started. Here's what one of my clients did for me. She just made up a list of what she was looking for in a home. And usually if you make up a list, you're going to get, at least it's a good start. So you're going to be going in the right direction. Your list might change as things evolve, but at least, keeping that list up to date and sharing that with your partner is so that you get an idea of what you're looking for. And a lot of people, again, are, they want to be within, reach of the GTA, of an airport, of, family and friends, close to some of the amenities that they've always enjoyed, but they're looking for new communities. So one thing that my wife and I did is we created a vision board, and we just got together on a Saturday night, created this vision board, and we went through the process of just kind of a life plan, really, and we update it every year now. So new things come up, and we as we make decisions. But it's amazing how many things come true when you actually have a vision board and you're looking at that kind of on a regular basis and keeping it up to date. So it's kind of a life plan. So we just did a cut and paste. We went into Google, cut and pasted different images onto a Bristol board. We just did like one of those regular Bristol boards, and then we kind of print the images off, and that's something for us to share and dream about. And so we've got financial plans. We have all kinds of other plans, and you really should have a life plan that you and your partner agree on. So if you're thinking about a condo, which is 54% of boomers are thinking about a condo, is I think certainly on the financial side, the reserve fund and liabilities in there. The building culture, I think, is important because you want to match what who you are with who lives in the building, and other things that everybody's going to have their own list, but I think kind of a welcoming condo as well that maybe has like things to do in the condo, maybe some social things that you can get involved in. Here's one that, so I'm going to go through and just make a few recommendations as far as places that I like. I like some of the older buildings in Mississauga because they're bigger space. And this one, I sold this one this week, actually. It was one of my listings at 45 Kingsbridge Garden Circle. It was 1,500 square feet, 24th floor with a beautiful south view. The condo fees were, $1,121, but when you kind of consider that everything's included in that except for your taxes, it's it's actually a fairly inexpensive living compared to running a house where, you know, you've got roofs to repair and all that. So it works out to about, you know, roughly, you know, $200 sorry, you're looking at around like $12,000 or $14,000 a year, which is pretty inexpensive to consider that it includes all your hydro and heat and everything. I'm going to go through quickly and make a few other recommendations here, and then we'll talk.
This is like this. You can't speak, but what I'm looking for.
Some pre-construction condos that are going in. There's one, I like Van Dyke. It's a good builder. They're all over the world. I've seen them in Florida as well, in Sarasota. They've got one that they've been pre-selling. It's close to the Mimico GO station. They also have a new building that's coming soon at Lakeview in Mississauga, right down by the old munitions factory on Lakeshore and Dixie Road area. There's going to be 2 buildings in there, and that whole area down there of around Lakeshore and Dixie, Lakeshore and Cawthra is under development. It's the old hydro station, Lakeview Hydro Station, that was torn down, and it's being reclaimed, and there's 177 acres. And there's going to be a whole vibrant community down there of a combination of residential and retail and commercial space and waterfront. Mississauga is trying to reclaim some of its waterfront, and they're as soon as this year they're going to start laying the infrastructure in that 177 acres on the water, and should be a really growing and expanding spot and a great place to live down there. A few bungalow examples of retirement communities or 55 plus communities, not necessarily retirement communities, but Rosedale Village. Here's one for sale now. Actually, this one just sold. It's a nicer bungalow. Certainly price-wise, like 1.4. It's 2250 square feet, and it's on a golf course as well. Rosedale Village in Brampton has its own golf course, community center, and it's kind of a lifestyle community there. Here's one in the Briars in Elliston that I like. It's a community of bungalows. You've got semi-detached, and price-wise, they're pretty reasonable. This one is for sale, but it's it probably went over asking. I think this one went for in the 8s or so, but it's still like only an hour from Toronto, and a great location. University of Guelph, the village on the Arboretum, is kind of a cool option. They've got land leasing here, so you actually own the house, but you pay maintenance fees, but you lease the land, so it's a lifetime lease on the land. But they haven't. It's a really nice community. You know, still like prices are up there as well. 1.290. This one sold for I think 1.3 something. But a really nice community in the Guelph area. And there's different communities like this all over the area. There's that are popping up because they seem to be popular. So I'm going to go through my top picks for places that I think are great locations. And for me, Florida is a great spot. I love Sarasota. It's got all the amenities. It's got a village. It's got some of the best beaches in North America. There's lots of nice restaurants and shops. St. Armand Circle is right there for shopping and restaurants. It's got an international airport, and it's a really mixed community. So it's not like young or old. It's you know, kind of a real good mix of age groups, and a huge art community there with Little Theater, the Van Damme Theater there as under reconstruction. They're going to be building a new theater, a new very large theater on the water, and we just love Sarasota. It's a great spot to go to. Now, as far as I've kind of gone through to the top 7 places that I would recommend taking a look at. Stratford, it's got a beautiful downtown. There's good housing stock, a good variety of home styles. There's things to do. It's a green community, and it's a welcoming community. And you've got the arts there as well. and it's close to the GTA. Price-wise, prices aren't on the increase, but it's still cheaper than what we find in the GTA. Muskoka region, that's like, Bracebridge, you've got Huntsville, you've got Gravenhurst there. It's right on the Lake Muskoka if you're a boater. There's some beautiful golf courses there. It's a welcoming community, it's a growing community, and there's lots of great amenities. And this is my list. Everybody's going to come up with their own list, but I also have family in Bracebridge, which is a draw for us to go up there. Kingston, from an affordability standpoint, Kingston is still more affordable than the GTA. There's lots to do there. There's lots of arts. There's a major university there, and I think that you're right on the water. There's golf courses. You're close to cottage country and lakes there, and it would be a draw for having people come and visit as well. Ottawa region, I've got family in Ottawa, so for me, it's high on my list. There's tons to do in Ottawa. There's an international airport there. There's all kinds of different housing stock. It still is less expensive, so you could sell it out in the GTA and move to Ottawa and end up with equity. But for me, I've got family there, and that's a draw. But certainly, there's lots of little communities around Ottawa. You got Stittsville and Mississippi Mills and Kempville, and so there's you can be kind of in a small community, but still be close to all the amenities of that Ottawa has to offer. Lots of arts, lots of theater, and lots of things to do there. Georgina and Lake Simcoe, that's a draw for a lot of people from the GTA because it's close. You've got different communities that have bungalows, townhomes, and you're close to a major airport. And there's lots of things to do, like in the winter, if you're kind of on the west side of the lake, you've got Horseshoe Valley and Mount St. Louis, Moonstone. You're close to South Georgian Bay for boating. Lake Simcoe boating is like amazing. Golf courses and price-wise, things again this year have gone up in price. We'll hear more about that later, but it's still more affordable than the GTA. Niagara region, warmer weather. And we'll hear more from Angela on this, but I love the Niagara region. There's great outdoors. There's Ball Falls. The GO train is moving down into that, all through that area. The wineries, the summer activities, and shopping. You're close to the U.S. Close to getting into the U.S. and close to a major airport in Hamilton as well. My number one choice is South Georgian Bay, and although prices have gone up there a lot in this last year, it's called being referred to as the GTA North, and there's just lots of different options, lots of things to do. It's a welcoming community, it's a four-season community, and it's it's only an hour and a half to get into the GTA to come back and see family and friends. So my advice is don't sit on your plans to downsize or resize your home. It takes time and it takes effort and some exploring and looking at your options, discussions with your spouse, looking at your finances, and getting help. So when it comes to Royal LePage, we've got over 18,000 realtors across Canada. We have offices in almost every major city, so if you are looking at places outside of the GTA and you're looking for a good referral from me to a realtor that you can trust, just give me a call. So thanks for hearing my presentation here, and we'll get on now to our discussion about what to do with all my stuff with Todd. So Todd, you there?
Yeah, here I am. Thanks, Scott.
Hey, how are you?
Good, very good, thanks. So just a bit of a background. I was a funeral director for a lot of years, and one of the common themes I would hear occasionally when people come into the arrangement office and they would say things like, mom's house is a disaster or whatever. And really what I found out what they meant was that there was a lot of years of accumulation and they were kind of caught up in what they were going to do with it, how they were going to handle it. And so that stayed with me throughout my career, and I started a company called Total Estate Services. So now we go into properties, we evaluate the contents that are in the home. We'll sell what we can sell by online auctioning. There's a donation for reuse option. Pre-COVID, there was more of a tax receipt option for donating as well. It's slowly starting to come back as the furniture bank is starting to open up to accept drop-offs again. There's always an element of disposal, and then there's cleaning so the property shows good for the market. And it's really just about helping people and taking that stress away from people who find themselves with many years of accumulation.
Right. Yeah. So recently we worked together on getting a place ready at 45 Kingsbridge, and that was you're just still kind of in the throes of that one.
Yeah. The online auction part of that is still, it's just started. So we're running an auction it's going to be a 10-day auction by the time it's done.
Right.
And it'll finish up. And there's probably about 50 lots in that auction, which is a good sized auction.
Right.
As well.
And so that kind of leads into one of the questions I have for you, Todd, is when it comes to getting the most value from your things, what's the best way to go about that?
You know what? I strongly believe in the open market. I think exposure to the open market is the best route to go. I have sold in the past every which way you can imagine, from Toronto Star ads, street signage, content sales, all types. And I found that I now use Max Sold as a platform. Right. Because they've been around long enough. Their exposure now is so great that even though they start with a no reserve auction, the exposure really moves up what the market's gonna reflect your items are. I had just completed an auction with some estate jewelry that I had the appraisals on, so I had a great comparable. And because of the open market and the no reserve, I had no qualms of putting it in, and it hit the mark on almost every appraisal. So that was really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about places like Facebook and Kijiji and Craigslist for
yeah, I think if you have like a one-off item or a very small group or a very items, say you have a collection of vinyl, or right. There's a one set of china or something like that, and you go to a Facebook marketplace specific for those items, right? That's a really good way to go. Craigslist, I have not much experience. The Kijiji, concerns I most hear about is just the volume of people contacting you, the haggling that's involved, and people coming up short when it's time to meet to exchange money for item. Right. And one of the things I like about the online auctioning process is that the only time people come to the property, or if it's a smaller auction and it's from a condominium we release from off-site, they only right. come one time, and that's to pick up. And we staff all that so that there's no interaction. All the funds are exchanged electronically. Right. It's a very transparent process. You can even buy your own stuff back. But I mean, it's in the auction, it's very transparent. At the conclusion, they send it what's called a detailed settlement report, shows you the item, what it right. sold for, what the commission was, that kind of thing. So. Yeah, awesome. Mm-hmm. So what about things like a lot of people have things like fine bone china or Royal Dalton and kind of things that are valuable that they've probably paid a lot of money for. Mm-hmm. What's the best way to get the most value for those things? I still say the open market, and yeah. The most important thing is to understand what the open market is. You can look at Max Sold past auctions and get an idea of what they're selling for. Right. Because lots of times, the hardest part of my job is to go into somebody's house and talk to them about a dining set they paid $12,000 for in 1993, and the market just doesn't sell in these kind of markets right now. So, right. I mean, to be realistic and understand what the open market can do for you, look at past auctions for like items, because you can search by item. Right. Like Royal Dalton's china, tons of options. But I got an auction going right now with china in it and teacups and all that stuff. So there's always comparables out there. You do a little bit of research and just be realistic. Right. And comfortable in understanding. And I understand completely because I deal with tons of people who have lots of emotion attached to stuff. I'm with kids and their parents. It's a childhood home. You know, so the emotional element and the reality of what the market, sometimes there's a bit of a
Right.
discrepancy there. So just helping people
Yeah.
become realistic in their
Yeah.
expectations is very important, right?
Yeah, sure. How do you figure out what something is worth then? You know, when you're, you know, as somebody who's trying to declutter your things, what's the best way to figure out what it's actually worth on the market?
Again, doing a little bit of market research and looking and seeing what's there and understanding what's been selling and what the trends are. Like
Right.
everybody, maybe people are familiar now with the modern, mid-century modern, any of that Danish stuff, all that's super hot right now. Teacups are always still popular. Royal
Right.
Dalton's kind of leveled off. Sterling is sterling. It's always popular.
Right.
Jewelry, costume jewelry, lauded the right way, still really good.
Right.
And you know, like vinyl's coming back. Lots of people love vinyl and turntables. Even CDs are coming back. So just understanding what's going on in the market, will get you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. Awesome. And how about getting started? I mean, if somebody's been living in the same place for 35 years and, you know, and they had all their kids there, and like, how the heck do you get started with it? You know, where do you start?
You know, there's just so many variables with every property that there's no cost to do an estimate. So I come in, I do a walkthrough with the family, with the person, and we take a look at everything that's there, and I send them back a no obligation estimate to do the work, and I itemize it to the point from selling, donating, disposal, cleaning, so that it's totally encompassed. So they're completely de-stressed from everything that I even tell people, you can even leave the food in the fridge. I'll take care of everything.
Right.
But it's really having somebody come in and knowing that there's help there for you, because what I find often is that people are super stressed when they're starting to think about, how am I going to deal with 40 years of accumulation and the emotional element that's attached to a lot of the things that are there, and how do I even get started? And so they sit on the fence and they don't even take the first step. And they stay in that place, and it's very stressful to stay there.
Sure.
And they get caught up, and you know, it's just really looking for a little bit of help and direction.
Right.
And once someone knows that, I deal with people all the time in that scenario, and I go in, and when I talk to them and I'm there to help them, to tell them how I can help them, I see them physically just relax.
Right.
Because they are very like, where do I start? Where do I do with all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I know you guys, you know, you guys can go in and do a lot of it, but there's things that people still have to do themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they do?
I tell people, like, sometimes we do delivery of things in the family, have the family come in and let them take the heirlooms they want or the pieces that they want first. I mean, beyond the things that they have to really do themselves, there's not a whole lot. It's just really making a decision on what they want to go where. If they're going to take things with them, and that's clearly identified. They want us to deal with any of the shredding, any of the personal stuff. We'll take care of all that.
Right.
You know, there's things that they're going to remain with the house to take care of all that. So those kind of steps.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it. And if anybody needs, you know, help, Todd would be happy to at least, you know, give you some advice on how to get going. And we've posted his number here too, in the event that that you'd like to call him.
Yeah, and we work all throughout the GTA. I'm out Brantford, right down into St. Catharines, Niagara area. So we're all over.
Right.
And again, it's really about helping people, and that makes it good for everybody.
Right. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Scott.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd.
Have a great day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So let me just do a reset here. Okay. So we're going to do the next session is we're talking about profiles of best places to live in Ontario. And I'm going to just make people co-host here. Let's see now. It's Krista. And Angela. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. Hello, folks. Krista, John, Gidget, Angela, welcome.
Hello.
Hey there.
Yeah.
I should apologize from the get-go. I'm at my office, which is on a busy street in Barrie, and apparently everybody in their pickup truck would like to drive by right now and honk their horn. So if there's background noise, you'll know why.
All right, awesome. Hey, Gidget, is it possible to make our our speakers right now kind of like highlighted? I just don't know how to do that.
Yeah, so you can spotlight them. If we
Okay.
hit the 3 dots, we just hit spotlight.
Okay. Awesome. So spotlight. Second. There we go. Spotlight. And I think Krista. Let's see, I got one more to do here. Where's Krista? And John.
There we go. There, I got Krista.
Okay, I got John. Okay, awesome.
Perfect.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Did I mess that up?
I think so.
Okay, here, let me do this again. Add spotlight. There we go. Add spotlight and add spotlight. Okay, awesome. Yay. All right, so thanks guys for joining us today and taking time out on your Saturday to join us to profile best places to live in Ontario. And kind of where we're at right now is that so many people from the GTA are like, saturating the outskirts now, and with COVID and moving to other places, and the need to be in the same place that you work changed over the last 2 years, and it looks like it's going to change, in the foreseeable future as well. That the companies are even hiring outside of their footprint because they can get talent from across the world without the need to actually have physical space. So I'll quickly introduce our speakers here. It's Krista Lesage from Royal LePage Location North. Hey, Krista.
Hi.
Krista's been active in the Collingwood real estate market for over 20 years. She's works with the Hawkins Ryers Real Estate Group, and she made the transition from marketing coordinator with Ian Hawkins' team to realtor in 2018.
That's right.
And has done very well. Krista is married with 2 young girls, and Krista's got to take off after this to pick up her daughter from a birthday party. So.
I do.
Yeah. And Krista's been in Collingwood for a long time, and I think even has I think her dad was the mayor of Collingwood at one
That's
point
right.
as well.
Yes.
And so Krista's been around. John, thanks for joining us today, John. And
My pleasure.
it's the first time we've really met in person, but John's a boater. I've seen his pictures of boating across the Trent Severn Waterway. John's based out of Barrie. And if anybody has ever stopped off at Weber's for a burger, that was a family restaurant. I'm not sure what the status is. Are you guys still owners of the restaurant, John? Or
No, we've been out of it since 2004.
oh, okay, right
And
on.
it's going into it's had its 60th anniversary.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, boy, that's an icon, and it's a tribute to your family for.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's heritage now, I guess.
Yeah, a little.
And Gidget, welcome, Gidget. Thanks for joining us today. Gidget's is a realtor with Remax All Stores Realty up in Georgina, and Gidget's been in the industry for 19 years, but recently got her license, and she's working with Remax up there and on a team. And Gidget has 3 kids, and her youngest, Emerson, he's a real cutie pootie. He's 5, and I see lots of pictures of Emerson on Facebook, and that it's fun to see. And Angela, welcome Angela from Niagara, and Angela's been Angela's been in the Niagara region for 17 years. She's with Royal LePage NCR Realty and former president of the Niagara Realtors Association. Angela has passions for travel and photography, and she's been traveling the world and probably would like to get back to traveling the world when things open up. And she loves Niagara Falls, and originally, or you grew up, I think, in the beaches in Toronto, I think you said.
I was born in Scotland, grew up in Scarborough, but when I moved here from the beaches.
Oh, okay, right. So welcome to our panel, and we just really the whole mindset here is, people don't necessarily know where they're going to move if they're living in, Mississauga or Toronto or the Halton area or Peel. There's no kind of one size fits all for people, and so it takes some decision making and some knowledge to decide what they want to do next. So I've got a few questions here that I'm going to just kind of open up to the panel. If maybe we can start with Angela. If you could just tell us a little bit about what you do and where's your market, and how's the market doing in Niagara?
Well, the market's insane because we were so many years, I think maybe a hidden secret in Canada or in Ontario. People knew about the falls and they knew about the wineries, but they didn't know about the great quality of life. So we were a little bit late to the appreciation game. And the market is very hot just now. We have very few listings, and that's just contributing to upward pricing almost on a weekly basis. So I don't know if looking at the market for the last 90 days, which is what I did for people, is necessarily going to be indicative of it in the next 90 days. It's certainly been very, very competitive for buyers, but still a good option compared to the GTA.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. How about Krista? How about you? Can you tell us a little bit about what you do up there in Collingwood? And
Yeah. So obviously, very, very similar situation happening here. The market's very hot. We've seen our prices increase substantially, and same kind of situation happening here where we just don't have the inventory, which is driving prices even higher. A lot of buyers are struggling in multiple offers, that kind of thing. But the Collingwood area, Blue Mountain, we basically on our team, we service from Wasaga Beach all the way kind of up towards Owen Sound, but just growing exponentially, really. Actually, it was just, Collingwood was just voted the number 6 fastest growing town in Canada, and Wasaga Beach number 2. So that kind of just gives you an idea of how many people are moving into our area. And understandably, we've got a lot to offer here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. How about you, John? How's things up in the Barrie area?
Similar to everyone else.
Yeah.
And I cover an area. So it's funny. Some people, once in a while, people will be asking for referrals and they'll say Simcoe. I'm in Simcoe County, which is Barrie, but there's also a town of Simcoe, and that causes a little confusion. But Simcoe County goes as far south as Bradford, which I don't do much in Bradford, but just north of Bradford is Innisfil. And I work in Innisfil, up through Barrie, through Oro, through Aurelia. And then on the northern part of that border, it starts to touch Muskoka, which is the Gravenhurst area.
Okay.
I go up to a small little place as far north as Washago.
Okay.
And then I go west into Springwater and Essa counties. But the whole area is very, very vibrant. The last year, so the year end for December, we were up 30% in this area. And then we were up, the average home price was up 30%. And the year before that, it was up 27%. They're calling for a 20% increase this year.
Wow.
So, I mean, quickly within 3 to 4 years, it's probably doubling the price, which seems ridiculous, but it is true. I've had clients buy in a nice little area, a newer area. Snow Valley, which is just to the north of Barrie, has an older side and a newer side. The newer side has some beautiful bungalows, 3,000 square foot bungalows, triple car garage, larger lots, and really, really nice homes. I had 3 clients buy there in the last 12 to 14 months, maximum 18 months. There 3 clients bought there. They're all quite similar. Since then, all 3 of those homes have doubled from $1.2 million to 2.4 million.
Wow. Unbelievable.
It's just, and that's the story. It continues. That's, it seems like an extreme story, but it's not, it's kind of the common thread.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that here in Mississauga too, that I was just looking at one that it was a bungalow that they bought, they purchased 2.5 years ago. They paid $800,000 for it. And they just sold it this week for 1.52.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just seems to be the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gidget, last but not least, what can you tell us a bit about what you do up there and a little bit about how the market's doing?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm up in Georgina. I say up, I'm used to people coming north to us in Georgina from places like Scarborough and Toronto. We have a lot of people coming up from the south right now and a lot of market activity. I don't think it's any different than, John, Krista, and Angela are dealing with. For us, our price point in, say, before the pandemic, we're about 579 on average. We're now sitting over $1 million. Our prices have gone up in the past 4 years, 77%. Right? It's just due to extreme market activity. There's a ton of buyers, and we are located right directly at the end of Highway 404. Right, we're on the east shores of Lake Simcoe, and we cover about 28,000 hectares. It's about the exact same size as Mississauga, only we only have 47,000 residents, and you guys have 800 and some odd thousand. So we're trying to service a lot of people over a large span, but really it's made up of 3 towns: Keswick, Sutton, and Pefferlaw, all of which have lots of plans of subdivision in for town development. We've got quite a few subdivisions coming in now. We're a bedroom community effectively to Newmarket, Markham, and Toronto. You can get from point A to point B down by Lake Ontario, I guess, in 45 minutes. So it is commutable. But like I said, there's a ton of activity. We had 36 listings come on the market last week, 28 sold.
Wow.
Right. This is just our reality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we all measure by, I know we all use the same matrix, but I was just looking at it. So we used to always talk about in the old days about months of inventory, right?
Sure.
On the Barrie board, we have less than half of 1 month's inventory, so less than 2 weeks of inventory.
Wow.
We used to have 4 to 5 months, and we thought, oh, that was good. And I remember friends in Halifax saying they had 14 months of inventory, like 3 years ago.
Now, John, is that because things are selling so fast, or just not enough listings?
Well, there really is no listing. So right now, these are average numbers. I haven't got fresh ones today, but as of yesterday, in the city of Barrie, there were 70 residential listings, including condos and everything, anything residential, townhouse, detached. There were 70 listings. The same day last year, which we all know was still COVID, had very low inventory, there were 210 listings on the same day last year. If you go out of COVID, the year before that, there would have been 350 to 400 listings. Today, you've got 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same problem in Niagara. There's a total lack of inventory. We have less than a month
Yeah.
of inventory.
We're similar in Collingwood too. They're averaging, they say we have about a month of inventory available.
Yeah.
That's a luxury.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Typically, February, March, April, May are the months when we see, more inventory. And if, looking in what's happened in Mississauga last year, it was a tight market for buyers for sure, but we had record sales. It wasn't a lack of inventory. It was a lack of inventory because we had more buyers and sellers, but we still had a record number of sales.
And Scott, to your point, I questioned that last year. I was really puzzled by it. I thought, now hold it. We've got this many listings in comparison to what we used to have, and yet Barrie broke a record for units sold in 2021. And I thought, I was scratching my head a little bit, and I had to have a chat with one of my colleagues to sort of help guide me on the path. And they said, well, it's simple, Weber. Every single listing is selling.
Yeah.
2 and 3 years ago, maybe half of the listings would sell or whatever, but every single listing that goes to the market now in our area is sold. Every one of them.
Sure. Now, John, are you finding people that are buying in the area are moving up there? Are they buying investment properties, or are they?
It's tough. I can't give you an actual number. I can't give you a factual percentage.
Sure, yeah.
But with my personal experience, I'm a little bit, concerned and disturbed that a lot of it is investment. A great amount of it is investment.
Right.
And I tend to feel sorry for the regular family people that just say, well, we simply need a home to live in, to raise our family, whatever, but there's so much migration of GTA buyers, 416 and 905, into the Barrie area. And so much of it is being bought up by investors because we had one the other week, it was a little bit disheartening. The sale hadn't closed yet. The buyers did not have possession, and there was already ads in Kijiji to rent it out. And I thought, crap.
Wow.
And the seller, I had to inform the seller just because I felt it was my duty. And the seller really? They're going to be renting my house out? I said, well, 3 weeks from now, it won't be your house.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah,
true enough.
And to be fair, there's a lot of talk about investors, and it's not necessarily people trying to make money from rentals, but very often it's pre-retirees. It's people who are in their 50s and early 60s who are seeing the market gallop, and they're trying to decide where they want to be in 5-10 years, and putting their foot down now to get a place that they're going to happily retire to. So it's not necessarily, the money grubbing investor who wants to rip off small families. And I think everything gets lumped together. So there is definitely some of that, but there are also people just trying to pre-plan for their own retirement.
Sure.
And purchasing their pre-retirement property and then renting it out in the interim.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah. And in our case, helping kids like our own children, buy a property, and, we're looking at, we got 2 kids that are living out in Calgary, and, we're thinking of helping them buy, right? So, it's probably a lot of different reasons why people are buying, but that kind of leads us into the question of, assuming that as we go through the spring market that, we will see more inventory, which traditionally we do. What are some of the best communities that you could recommend for anybody listening today that could be good places to consider moving to? John, how about you take that away?
Well, it's funny, in our area, there's one in Aurelia, which is called Sophie's Landing. It is definitely a retirement community. They're very, very small homes with, most of them allow for a single car only. The driveway is short. The garage is very, small, room for one car. And it has two phases to it. And there might be, I'm only guessing at this point, 30-ish houses on each side. That's definitely a retirement community. But there's one more just north in Ramara called Bayshore Village. But besides that, we don't have a great deal of dedicated retirement communities here. You'd think we might have more because of the water everywhere,
Sure.
but I don't know. People have always asked, like, why isn't there more sort of gated retirement communities in this area, sort of, copying the Florida model or whatever?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
we don't have them very much.
Sure.
People just retire here. Maybe it's more into condos and stuff than actually, say, a community.
Right. So, and actually that's, something that I've heard a lot from boomers is they're going like, I want to be in a community that's not like for retirement. I would just want to live with, young and old and like a vibrant community with things to do. And any suggestions there for like, even around like some of the ski country there or other places that, where there's possibly new developments or?
Well, yeah, there's new development all the time. Like the Horseshoe Valley region is going to be developing over the next 20 years. They've got a whole new plan for Horseshoe Valley, and it's just going to grow and grow. And it's actually going to try to copy very much the Collingwood model.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think you can really copy Collingwood because it's got a lot to offer. It's on a grander scale, a much larger scale. But to a degree, I think Horseshoe Valley in the middle of Oro is going to try to take a page from Collingwood and make it villagey and make it more communal than it is right now. And they're definitely, all the plans are planned out and set. Also in that area, there's a funny thing happening. I say it's funny because it's really different. There's a Formula One racing cars track going into Oro, Medonte, right between Barrie and Aurelia, and it is going to be a big deal, a huge deal. They are going to build thousands of homes around it. It's Porsche, every major sports car from Porsche to Ferrari to whatever you can dream of, McLaren to whatever, they're all involved in this. They're putting it on the 7th concession, which is where the airport is, the Simcoe County Airport, which again, logical, makes sense.
Sure.
They're constantly talking about expanding that airport. Right now, I think they can take very, very small jets, but they're trying to make it a little bit of a fuller service airport. And this Formula One track is going in there. And I think that's going to be a game changer for lifestyles and for some people that are racing car fans and would like to, live in that type of an environment. And I think there will be, that whole area is getting more and more popular with retirees and just saying, we want to be close to skiing, cross-country skiing, and now this whole thing of close to car racing.
Sure. Awesome. And how about, I got to ask about Friday Harbor.
Yeah.
That's a cool little village there. And we had, Chris and I went and had a visit there last year, but can you tell us a little bit about Friday Harbor and what's going on there?
Friday Harbor has a lot of different personalities to it. Some people think it's a little bit retirement, which, there's an element of retirement there. It's a busy place, especially during June, July, August, September. It's a really busy place. Some people have said, it's too busy for me. It's just, it's like being at the, it's like being on the middle of Yonge Street sometimes because it is busy. They have events. They have live music outside. They've got a lot of things going on depending on where you're located and what your exposure is for, windows and sound and all of that. Friday Harbor had a tough start financially. It was not that popular. And COVID was the best thing that ever happened to Friday Harbor. 3 years ago, I used to track Friday Harbor listings, and normally there were 66 resale units available.
Wow.
Right now, there wouldn't be 3 available.
Wow. Wow.
So
what are prices like in Friday Harbor?
they vary from 500,000 to 2 million.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So you can still get in for 500,000, but it's probably like a bachelor or something like that.
Yeah, it's a studio.
Yeah.
They're small, but again, if it's lifestyle, convenience, and again, convenience is a funny thing there because Friday Harbor, it's a unique location. You're not close to anything.
Right.
Like if you said, I have to go pick up something, there's the boardwalk has a few stores and shops. you're going to pay a premium for it. It'd be like going to a Pusatari's just to pick up a few items. It's going to cost you. There is a liquor store there, which a lot of people are very grateful for. And but it's funny, you are at the bottom of the lake. If you want to get somewhere or go somewhere, it's a bit of a drive.
Right, sure.
So
I guess by boat, it's fast. You can go anywhere you want to go in 10 or 15 minutes.
There are so many boats there, it's out of control. Even to go in, if I want to take a client in for lunch, we go by boat. I have to make a reservation. I have to call one of the guys I know over there just to get a place to dock the boat.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just jam-packed now. It's taken off like wildfire in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's a beautiful development there, and it's quite unique.
They say they have construction planned on that site for the next 8 years.
Wow.
Like-
They've got a hotel there now too.
It's under construction.
Oh, okay.
It is under construction.
Okay.
But at some point, you just think the numbers don't. I mean, at some point, the population will be too big for the actual structure, I think.
Right. Sure.
Because they can't enlarge the boardwalk or enlarge the harbor that they dredged out. But
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, John. And maybe if we just cross the lake there, jump in one of John's Cobalt there and fly across the lake, we could see Gidget in probably about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think from Georgina, you can actually see Barrie and see the lights of Barrie. It doesn't look that far.
No, it doesn't until you get in the car. It's about an hour all the way around the lake.
Yeah.
But yeah, about 20 minutes across. Mhm.
And then so Gidget, they've got that highway in the winter too that goes across the ice. I think it's a highway, but I've seen people drive.
I'm not necessarily sure that it's supposed to be, but you're right.
Okay.
They go across all year round.
Yeah. So Gidget, can you tell us a little bit about kind of what's like communities in the Georgina area that could be appealing for anybody that is thinking about, Georgina as a place to move to?
No, yeah. So we're not big on subdivisions here in Georgina. I mean, there's a considerable amount of them, but the places that usually attract the people for retirement are our historical lakeshore community. That's all along Lake Drive. We have Lake Drive North and East, and it's all waterfront living. There are some direct waterfronts up the way, but the majority are indirect waterfront, where the waterfront's across the yard or across the road from where the properties are. And the properties range in prices. They're all they're not built like module homes would be built or subdivision home. These are properties that were built from 1920s to all the way to more recent times. So there's lots of historical value. We have a couple communities for retirees, I suppose, 55 plus communities, but one of which is under construction right now. That's the Jackson's Point or Hedgerow Landing. And it's 196 acres that will be built up of bungalows. I know that they had 140 on phase one. They sold out very quickly. And so that will be 55 plus gated. It is waterfront, but the waterfront itself won't be developed until like phase three. And we have phase two coming out apparently in the summer, but with new homes, especially these days, you have to wait. We'll have to wait and find out if that's going to be the case. Now there's another one in Sutton. It's Sutton by the Lake. It is a module home. I think there's about 320 properties supposed to be built there. And it's a land lease option, about $350,000 that they're selling for these days. More meant for people that are traveling and they're not going to be around all year round, right? Spend some time in Florida over the winter time, maybe traveling over the summer, and you still have a place to land that's rather safe and convenient. But we've got some subdivisions that are coming in. Simcoe Landing is, I think, the biggest of them in Keswick. And they have phase, 100, probably coming out September 2022. Townhouses around here are not condo. They're all freehold. We have very little condominiums here in Georgina. So if you're looking for, a place to downsize that has convenience to, a Walmart and a grocery store, a clinic, where it's a good, quiet town to be in. Year-round amenities, right? Ice fishing, swimming, beaches, it's a beautiful place, really. I love Georgina.
Yeah, it's kind of, it was tucked away there until they put the 407 extension in. And
404. Mhm.
yeah, the 404. And so getting to the airport is fast. But I have to ask you too about Lagoon City. Do you do much, or have you had some experience with Lagoon City?
Maybe John more than me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's out in Brecken, right?
Yeah. It's it kind of falls in my area. Lagoon City, I've done 2 small transactions there, and they were years ago. It's kind of, without being critical, some people are saying, the shine is off of Lagoon City. It's getting a little bit tired.
Okay.
I had neighbors that used to have a large live-aboard boat in Lagoon City Marina, and they finally said, no, we just have to pull out of here. We have to go to a different marina. We can't be here anymore. The whole community, from what I see, my eyes tell me it's tired, and the people that live there say the same thing. It's just,
Right.
it's long in the tooth and hasn't had money put back into it.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, we took a drive. Chris and I took a drive through there about a year ago, and it looked like there's like kind of like channels where you can bring your boats in and have your own dock at your
Right.
house.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And it's pretty remote. Like there's not that much around there. It seemed
Agreed. Yeah, you're absolutely.
really not close to a lot of amenities. But I've had people ask about that, and I thought it might be worthwhile. So
Yep.
So Gidget, anything else you want to tell us about kind of communities there or things that
So
are happening?
we have something called the multi-use recreational facility coming in 2023 in Keswick, which is really great because we have so many public services. Considering we only have 47,000 residents, we have a public pool and a library in Sutton. We have a public facility that's in Pefferlaw, and then we have a new one coming into Keswick, which is supposed to have 6 25-meter like Olympic-sized pool. Another hydrotherapy pool, which is really good, especially for those that are in, some kind of rehabilitation. And it's just going to make it, I think, a little bit easier for people to access those public services here on the south end. Because right now we have to drive about 25 minutes into Sutton, which it's quite a ways away, especially for anybody who's 55 plus, right?
Right. Now, I have seen your ski hill there as well.
A ski hill, that is a little pimple, but our kids just love it. You know what they're doing there today? They have cardboard toboggan races down this hill. It is so much fun. Yeah, families get involved, and great place to bring the grandkids. They have ski lessons and snowboard lessons on this little hill, but what's more fun is just the fact that it's a carpet lift. If you've ever taken kids out tobogganing, the dreaded walk back up the hill. It doesn't happen here. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Gidget. Oh, Angela, do you want to take it away? What kind of communities that you've seen some of your clients move into that could be of interest here?
Well, I think I forgot to mention kind of the area that we service in Niagara. So we're basically from Grimsby down to Fort Erie, and then Lake Ontario to Lake Erie. So it's a relatively big area, and there are several communities within that area, and each one has its own personality. So it would really come down to what people are looking for. Are you a snowbird? Do you need something that you can just lock and leave? Or are you going to want to stay here all year and then take part in the winter activities? So the personality of what you're looking for would determine as to whether or not you maybe want a mobile community in Fort Erie or the south end of Niagara Falls, or do you want a higher end community? There's a beautiful place, Hunter's Point in Welland, that has its own rec center just for the community. Or do you want to be in Niagara on the Lake, which is, very high end, consistently one of the most beautiful towns in Canada, with the theater and the wineries and things like that. So people's desires for how they're going to want to spend their time, is it all in Canada, or are you part in Canada? Do you want to have an apartment? We've got a few life lease condominiums in Niagara. Some of them have a waiting list, so you kind of have to get in now, even if you're going to be retiring in 10 years.
Sometimes those are a little cheaper, aren't they? Like a little lower
Yes.
cost. That's the idea.
Yes, because most of the life lease that I'm aware of are not charity owned, but they're kind of managed as
Sponsored.
non-for-profit.
Yeah.
And they're very nice and they're very, very popular, but they have very extensive waiting lists. There are some not purpose-built retirement communities, but there are lots of kind of bungalow townhomes being built in patches around the area, and they're being basically purpose-built for, you know, that 55 plus community, so that you've got low maintenance, but you still have your own home.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to live on a private street in a detached house where someone else takes care of my snow and my grass.
Oh, nice.
But I've got a fenced yard, and I'm a 3-minute walk to Sunset Beach in St. Catharines, which is don't tell anyone, it's a fabulous beach. Shh. I love living here.
Gosh. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of opportunity and a lot of like a great quality of life. I ended up here because my parents did all the heavy lifting. We'd lived in Malaysia, we'd lived in Boston, lived in Scarborough. And when my dad retired, born in Scotland, and when my dad retired, they went to a lot of different places to figure out where they wanted to retire. They ended up in Niagara, just near the outlets by the Niagara College Winery. And I found I was visiting them more when they moved here than when we all lived in Toronto, because it was such a nice quality of life and the air was
Wow.
fresher,
Yeah.
and a 10-minute drive was a 10-minute drive, and things like that. So when you move to Niagara from a more dense area, I think people tend to look at it as a region and take part in port days in Port Colborne and the wineries and Shaw Festival in Niagara-on-the-Lake. You kind of appreciate everything. And then as far as moving here, it would come down to your budget and what you want to do day to day, because there's a huge swing from Port Colborne to Niagara-on-the-Lake in average prices.
Sure.
You know, huge swing.
How about on the not high rise, but mid-rise condo buildings, 8 or 10 or 12 stories or even higher? Is there anything like that going in, or is there?
Yes, there are some going in. All of the new builds to me seem very expensive. I guess they're probably not compared to what's going on in more urban centers. But there are also some really nice condo buildings there's one here on Geneva Street, which is right at the lake. It's $850, I think they're asking. Beautiful, luxurious building right on the water. This one doesn't have water views, but it's 1,700 square feet, 2-bed, 2-bath, and just been completely updated. So $850 for that. And then the carrying costs include all of your utilities, and they're $1,300. It has an outdoor pool, underground parking, 2 parking spaces. So that's a very luxurious, sophisticated building.
Was that like something else repurposed from something else before?
No, we do have quite a few of those sprinkled throughout the world down here. But no, that's always been a condominium.
Oh, okay, right.
We do some of the conversions. We've got quite a few of those in Niagara Falls, and some of those are quite affordable by comparison.
Right. Awesome. Good. Awesome. I just had 2 clients that they bought from a builder in Fort Erie there a few years ago, and they're just moving in, and they're thrilled. They both just retired, and they're like they're happy. So
a lot of development in Fort Erie just now. Now,
yeah.
One of the things that is going to help people to use a local person, because the world changes when you cross the highway at Sodom Road. So if you're going down to Fort Erie, you have buffalo winters.
Oh,
If you are staying north of Sodom Road, you have Niagara winters. And you got to know these things because the difference in snow, wind, rain, hail, and general oujus is different depending on which part of Niagara you're in. We're the fruit belt, but only in certain parts.
okay, that's interesting. Well, Chris and I took a drive down last summer, just down along the wine country road, just through some of those communities like Pelham and it's beautiful.
It's a lovely, it's a lovely
It's
bedroom community.
stunning. We stopped into Balls Falls and took a picnic lunch and then just kind of carried on. And is there any kind of development along there as well? Like, or is there, they're not very big towns, like there's not that much there that we could see, but is there any options for people that want to kind of live in the country there that, they're.
So there are things going on in this area that just because you see vacant land doesn't mean that there's going to be a development. So everything south, or I guess north of the escarpment, between the escarpment and the lake, they're landlocked and you can't build on the escarpment. So there's a lot of protected land there. So there's not a whole lot of available land for building. We also have a lot of agricultural land, and the agricultural land is really difficult to switch from agricultural to residential. So there are some things, you'll see a lot of density north of the highway in this little strip between the highway and the lake. So you see a lot of density there right now with new builds and condos going in. If you're looking into farmland or something a little bit more rural, you're looking more Fonthill, Pelham area, and there are some kind of 1 acre estate lots. So you'd be on septic and cistern. And they are doing custom builds with bigger homes, so you can get estate lots. So everything's kind of got a different personality, and you've got to look at being close to agricultural land. I always caution buyers that your beautiful view of an orchard could change to a beautiful view of a chicken ranch. And I don't mean the lady chicken ranch, I mean the stinky chicken ranch. And or a pot farm, or you've got to consider what it is that you want and be aware of what the zoning does and doesn't allow for. And there are some $1 million homes in St. David's that are awfully close to the largest pot farm in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And a winery had to close down because it was too stinky.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So
Yeah,
gotta be aware.
Yeah.
We've had that in Oro, and I don't know how it happened because it defies all logic. I mean, there's so many levels of planning and bureaucracy and municipal stuff you have to go through. But in the middle of Oro, there's in a very nice area where, again, like Angela says, lovely $1 million, $2 million, if you will, like a gentleman's farm type of thing, like a 10-acre property with a beautiful home on it, maybe a restored barn, easily 2 million. But in the middle of it, there's 100 acres of open field marijuana. And it's brand new. It's brand new. It's actually very, very well kept. The fencing, everything about it is expensive. Whoever did it, they did it very well. But you have to put your windows up. You cannot drive through there without the stink of marijuana. And now neighbors are saying, hold it. Like, my kids are, irritated and getting sick from this. And you just think, how did that ever happen? How was it allowed that it wasn't, it wasn't in a contained building? They're just open fields.
Yeah.
You answered that partly because where I live at the canal and the lake. So not too far from me, we switched to agricultural land, and there was a big greenhouse. It was like a normal greenhouse, and it was on the market. And they were saying, it could be for any kind of crop, including specialty crops. And we all know that is code for marijuana. And I belong to our local residents association, and I kind of raised it with them. I'm like, did you know that like that's really close? Depending on which way the wind goes, this stuff can carry the smell, and it's a very unpleasant smell. And if you have a greenhouse, you can rotate the crops, so you basically always have a growing season that is at the stinky state. So we talked to the city of St. Catharines, and they had no policies in place because they were just going by the federal guidelines, because it was, the federal government that had allowed all of this. And we managed to get them to basically cease and desist until there was time to come up with a policy. But it could just be that location just was going by the federal policy. Yeah. And it's a little bit like manure, and it's a little bit like bird bangers and all of these other things that people have to deal with. If you want to live in an agricultural area, the agricultural area serves a purpose, and that purpose is not residential. So if you want to live in an agricultural area, you have to be prepared that there might be some things that you're not going to like. You're not going to like the sound of the windmills when they're trying to keep the grapes from freezing. You're not going to like the sound of the bird bangers that scare the daylights out of your dog and your kids. But there's a purpose there, and the residential part is the interloper, not the agricultural part. And we still need those things. So buyers need to beware and be cognizant of what is around where they're purchasing.
Sure. And that's the advantage of using a local realtor as well, as to just so that you can get that help, because you might not know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, Krista. So last again, but not least, I know you've been patiently waiting there. So how about, I know we've chatted about this, even just recently, and you talked last year for us about kind of that South Georgian Bay, but can you tell us a little bit about kind of what's happening as far as communities, and what communities could be really appealing for boomers that are thinking about moving up there,
Sure.
Retirement or not, some of them are still working, but.
For sure. In terms of an actual retirement community, Collingwood has a nice, unique one called Balmoral, and it offers townhomes, condos, and then it also offers the option for assisted living, as well as seniors apartments, and even a short-term stay. So that's a really great addition to our town. A lot of retirees in Collingwood like to live in the downtown core, sort of that traditional historic area. And then we have a few great communities along the waterfront too. One's called Blue Shores, and the majority of the homes in there are bungalows or loft bungalows. It's a great waterfront community with outdoor pool and rec facilities, that kind of thing. Another great one in our area is called Lighthouse Point. It's another condo development, beautiful walking trails, again, great rec facilities, outdoor pool, tennis courts, right along the waterfront. There's a marina. It's a really sought after area as well. There are a couple new developments in town that offer townhomes and detached homes. One is called Summit View, a little bit better price point in that. Some of our more waterfront communities, obviously the prices are going up. Where else in town would I suggest?
How about Aquaville?
Aquaville, that's another great waterfront community.
I like the name.
I know.
Sounds like something from the future.
Yes. So they're going to be offering semis and towns, and they start in the 800s. And then they're going to have 16 waterfront homes as well, which are going to be priced at $2 million plus. If anything, we've seen in our area since COVID, and even in the last year, the pricing over $2 million has gone up quite exponentially, especially up around the ski hill, that area. Another great community, if you want to be closer to the ski hills, is called Windfall. There's quite a plethora of detached homes and then townhomes as well. It's a great community. Again, has a pool, little rec facility, It's close to the Scandinave Spa, and only, 5-10 minutes to the hill. There's actually a walking trail that takes you right to Blue Mountain, which is quite nice. And what we're seeing a lot in our area too is, people purchasing and then renting in a lot of investment property. That's probably one of our big challenges in the area is Airbnb, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Blue Mountains put stipulations in place so that you have to have a specific license if you would like to rent. It's
Yeah.
become a very popular area for that very reason.
Yeah. My sister moved to Creemore recently.
Yes,
From,
Creemore is a
Collingwood.
beautiful little town. Yes.
And I went to see her a couple of weeks ago. They bought like 8 acres in the country, and
Mhm.
it's on like some rolling hills. They can see forever
Very
from there,
nice.
down by the Four Corners. I forget the name of that place there. There's Four
Mhm.
Corners. I took a drive into Creemore, and it looks like there's a development going in there, and it's kind of a nice little town. Like
There is.
we stopped in. There's a little restaurant, like an English pub restaurant there, and
Yes. Yep.
It's a
No,
little-
Creemore's
it's
a
such a
lovely little
community.
town for sure. It's got a lot of nice little boutique shops and bakery. The Creemore pub,
yeah,
Creemore beer is done there. It's a great spot. And you're not too far from the bigger amenities and the hospital and that in Collingwood. And you're obviously not very far from Barrie either.
yeah. It's kind of in between. Yeah, it's I
Mhm.
think it's only maybe. I think you can get to the ski hills in less than half an hour from there.
Yes,
But,
for sure you could.
You can get Wasaga Beach is probably a little closer. And how about the other couple of areas like Wasaga? And then I know one of your favorites too is Meaford area.
Yes, I do. I do really like Meaford. It's a quieter town. It's sort of like old Collingwood, what Collingwood used to be. Waterfront community. It's growing as well though, and the nice thing with Meaford is it offers a hospital as well, and it's got a theater, great little downtown core with shops, restaurants, that kind of thing. There are a few new developments happening in Meaford. One of interest is called Meaford Gates, and it offers semis and townhomes and some detached homes, and they start at a more reasonable price point of around $300,000 to $400,000.
Oh, okay. Wow.
What you say?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not too far from the ski hills there of Beaver
No,
Valley.
it's not. And then you're not very far from Owen Sound if you're looking for a larger center,
Yeah.
bigger hospital, that kind of thing too.
Yeah. And Chris and I took a drive through Cobble Beach there too. And that's a nice little golf community right on the Owen Sound, right on the water. And
Yes.
it's got a beautiful golf course, and there's a kind of a combination of bungalows and semis and towns in there as well,
Mhm.
with a clubhouse, and I don't think there's any docking there. I don't know what they're like. They had.
I'm not sure about
Yeah.
that either, but
So it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
then Wasaga, of course, we've got a casino going in there.
that's right. Yes. A couple large developments, one called Xanthor and another one, Redberry Homes.
Oh, okay.
Wasaga, obviously second fastest growing town in all of Canada. So lots of people coming to the area, largest freshwater beach, beautiful area to be for sure through the summer months. And again, you're not very far from Blue Mountain, and then Wasaga's also got great cross-country ski trails and things like that to do in the winter as well.
Yeah.
It's got a
Awesome.
great rec facility, a big YMCA.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it seems to be it's different areas, but you can get from, Collingwood to Wasaga to Thornbury to Blue Mountain. It's really nothing more than a 20-minute drive probably.
It's
So
true. It's
you've
true.
got all the amenities of those different communities right at your doorstep, really.
Yes, which is really nice.
Yeah, and then Stayner. Stayner is, I guess, under development as well. There's a little downtown there, and a bit of
Yes.
development there, but
Nope. Stayner's, it's growing as well.
yeah.
And, I grew up in Collingwood. I've lived here all my life other than to go away to school and that kind of thing. And growing up was kind of always like, oh, Stayner, but now it's become quite
Yeah.
quite sought after as well. And again, a little more affordable than Collingwood
Yeah.
and definitely Blue Mountain, where we're seeing our prices, go up. For Southern Georgian Bay on a whole, our average price is $1,134,000 now. In Collingwood, it's around $820,000.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
How would you characterize Collingwood versus Blue Mountain? Is there like a different kind of people that are attracted to those places, or?
Yeah, I think Blue Mountain, you see more people that maybe they're only living there part-time. They come up just for winter to ski. Maybe then they rent their places through the summer, or vice versa. I mean, Blue Mountain's very popular in the summer as well now, but it tends to be more maybe people coming from the city just as weekend places, that kind of thing, where Collingwood tends to be more full-time living. Yeah, just a little bit more community oriented for sure in Collingwood versus Blue Mountain.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, it's got a nice downtown. Collingwood's got a beautiful downtown and kind of the shops. And
It does. We've got
restaurants.
a nice library.
Yeah.
We've got some art galleries now. There's just a great Collingwood theater group. And then you've obviously got great walking trails, golf courses, golf clubs, ski clubs, the waterfront, beaches, lots to do for sure.
Do you know what's going to happen with the Collingwood terminals? Like, is there any plans for that, or?
You know what? There was just an article put out about that. They're looking for someone to, like a developer, to do something there. Obviously, it's a contentious issue. A lot of newcomers that have moved into town think, oh, just tear them down. But then for people that have lived here all their lives, it's
Sure.
a landmark, right? I'm like, you cannot get rid of the terminals. They're a landmark, no different than the Eiffel Tower, but obviously a little different.
I thought it'd make a nice restaurant on the top there. If they
Absolutely. That's what my husband and I have always
put an
said.
elevator in there. And,
Amazing views up there.
one of my all-time favorite things to do is to go to Starbucks, grab a coffee, take a drive out to Lighthouse Point there, and just sit on the bench by that clock there and just smell the fresh Georgian Bay air.
Yes.
And you got the nice view of the ski hills, and it's a beautiful spot. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, thanks very much, guys. That was awesome, and it was very informative. And for anybody that's kind of listening in or watching in with us today, like these are great realtors that I would recommend, and reach out, get help from your local neighborhood sleuth to help you kind of reach your dreams, because a lot of it's good to start by yourself maybe, but to Angela's point, like kind of knowing what's going on in the neighborhood, understanding where the good buys are, and just getting help to get focused on your dream, what your dream is, and certainly a realtor can take you all the way to make it happen. So thanks, guys, for taking the time, and we'll definitely get your contact information out to everybody that's attended. Feel free to put your contact information into the chat as well, so that everybody can get a hold of you. And just while we've got you on here, I know, Krista, you have to get going too to pick up your daughter, but I was just going to ask, is there any questions from anybody that's kind of listening in today for any of the realtors that we've got here? Going once, going twice. Okay, I guess not. So there we go. All right. So thanks, guys, and have a great
Thank you
rest
so
of
much,
your
Scott.
day. And
Thanks, Scott, for putting it all together.
yeah, I'm glad to. Many thanks for doing this, and very informative. And have a great February. And Krista, we'll see you up there skiing. I've got my Blue Mountain Pass, and I've only used it once, so I've got to get up there and start skiing. Just been too
Yes,
busy.
you do.
Selling too many homes here. I got to get time.
You need
for
some
fun.
downtime.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Okay,
All
thanks so
right.
much.
Yeah.
Take care.
Good
afternoon.
Bye. See you, Good Jet. Alrighty. So Heather.
So I'm just going to put my contact information in the session before anyone wants to get that. Can I share my screen?
Sure, you bet. I need to make you co-host if I didn't already. Oh, I'll make you co-host. How's that?
Okay.
There you go.
If I share screen, I want to share, but I want to need the.
So while you're doing that, Heather, I'll do an introduction here. Heather Holjavec is the founder of Holjavec Financial Group. She's a financial literacy advocate and a independent fee-for-service financial planner. She specializes in working with baby boomers, and today she's going to discuss the dilemma of stay or go, and you know, like, people have questions on, you know, like how to do, you know, money to last. How do you know, like, if you sell your house, if you're going to you know, have money to last, and you know, can you enjoy your money in retirement, and knowing that that you are in good financial shape. And Heather's going to also discuss just some of the reasons that stop people from moving forward. Kind of what's the resistance that people can't get over the hump to get going and actually make changes in their life that could be good. So Heather, take it away.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I said I can, yes.
Okay, good. So basically, Scott and I have been doing this for a number of years, and he asked me to help him with the financial part, primarily just to put everything together. So, you know, they, you know, talked about how you need to get rid of things, you know, downsizing and where you should go. But then you also need to know the financial piece, and especially now with COVID just putting prices way over the top. I mean, people really need to know what their options are, and that's kind of just going to share a little bit of that. So I'm just on the cusp of the boomer generation. I'm a Gen X. I was born in '66, so 2 years away. But I'm part of kind of a new generation, which is similar to the boomers, which is the sandwich generation, where I've got aging kids or aging parents and, you know, older children. So I'm kind of sandwiched between helping those two cohorts. So in order to figure out whether you should stay or go, you know, putting this all together, basically you need to know, you know, where you go. And that's kind of what Scott talked about. What will you do up with all your stuff? And what income's going to support your lifestyle? How will you know if you have enough? And will your money last? So we've got a lot of competing objectives. So now with housing prices getting so high, people are also looking at, you know, I may need to help my kids. I may need to pre-gift funds now, but how is that going to affect my lifestyle? And, you know, really the challenges are, again, will you have enough? Something else that you really need to consider is healthcare costs, because we're unfortunately in a situation over the past few years where a lot of these social benefit funds have gone to help COVID relief. And the problem with that is, you know, things like our healthcare, even old age security, the guaranteed income supplement, that's all comes from the same pool of money. So there's going to be a lot of changes going forward, and, you know, you really need to be able to understand what your options are for healthcare. Investment challenges, I mean, the market is up and down. You know, last week the market had a great day of, you know, made up 500. Yes, I think Friday it was down 500 points, which 5 years ago was, you know, unheard of, but it's just kind of a drop in the bucket now as far as the overall, you know, fluctuations in the market. But it's scary to know where, you know, where to put your money and if your funds will last. And one of the big things that I think is, happening now is kind of fear of the unknown, because we don't really know, fear and COVID. I mean, those kind of go hand in hand, because, obviously we're hoping things are going to get back to normal, but, it's really hard to say where things are going to be next year. I mean, we thought, I thought we're going to be back to normal this year. And, hopefully in 6 months, we're going to have some progress. Everyone or most people are vaccinated, and whether you are or whether you aren't, I think that enough people, should be vaccinated, that should give us the comfort. If people choose not to be, then we really need to kind of move on. And that is, and it's very interesting that the prices are so high, because again, with people working from home, are people going to have to go back into the office? So, and also people are looking at, with COVID, reevaluating really what's important to you. And again, it's really just understanding the options, what's in your way. The investment challenges, again, you can invest in stocks, bonds. There's also segregated funds that can protect your value. Now people are looking at annuities. Also people are thinking about helping their children, or, you can also look at options like a reverse mortgage to help out. So there's so many different options, and I guess it's just really understanding, what is most important to you. What's your motivation and your reason for, wanting to move? Is it, kind of because you think you have to downsize? Is it, maybe it might be cheaper even to stay where you are and to, look at some sort of equity, taking some sort of equity out of the property. Or it may make sense to move to some sort of condo because you don't want to worry about, stairs, or you don't want to worry about, snow. So you kind of really have to do an audit to yourself, what's holding you back, knowing what it's going to cost, knowing if you're going to have enough, where will you go, when is it going to happen, what's, stopping you or not stopping you. And I think, another thing, it used to be, my mom kind of had a little, chest, basically of things that she was going to pass on to me. You know what, my kids don't want any of that stuff. So, I'm kind of looking now at, 5 years, 10 years out, starting to downsize. And, it's really interesting because it depends on the market for selling stuff as well, because we've had success with a lot of the Facebook market groups, marketplace groups. I mean, that I think is a really great place. And it's interesting how Facebook has taken over Kijiji in that sense. So, again, who's going to help you? What support do you have? How do you make it happen? And it's really just a plan. And I think, what this seminar has, what our goals are is really just to let you understand that there's a lot of people out there that can support you in making your decision, and you don't have to go it alone. I mean, I think everyone would be happy to give you half an hour of their time to answer any questions that you have. So really it's just, start with a plan, outline your goals, figure out what is really important to you, and then match, your cash flow to the lifestyle that you want. And at the end of the day, there's always a solution. It really just depends on what's important to you. So when I work with my clients, I figure out where they want to be, where they are today, and then figure out, the path and the plan to get them there. And it's really all about what's important to you. It doesn't matter what I think, what the media thinks, what the market thinks, what your neighbor thinks. It's, you have to really make sure it's, it's something that's important to you. And you really never know what life is going to hold. You could live till 95. I mean, you could live to over 100. My husband's grandmother lived to 102, and his mom passed away at 52. So, I have perspective on both sides, where I know that, you really need to understand that there's always the need to plan but you really do have to, live for today. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So I did also want to share one thing. I'm actually doing a seminar in March, and it's called Advocacy and Aging. And it's with a gentleman called Mark Seguin, and he wrote this book basically to help you, the 5 steps really, and the 5 planning points that you need to take in order to plan your future. So, we're talking about kind of your middle years, the living years, but unfortunately things happen in life, and with COVID, there's illnesses that we never know is out there. And this seminar is really just to help you figure out, what do you want your estate affairs to look like, and planning it before something happens. Because if you end up having some sort of cognitive issue and your will and estate is not set up, it can't be changed. So, you really just need to make sure that you want everything set up in the way that, works best for you. And that, the people that, you've worked hard to make your money work for you, and that the government doesn't get more than its fair share. So that's in a seminar upcoming. If everyone's okay, Scott's going to share that information with you at a later date. Or you can link in, send an email to me if you're interested in going, and I can send you a link to that as well. So again, how I can help is basically review your existing situation, assist with any planning, ensure you know your options. I offer a complimentary review. I can also have, there's a PDF, Stay or Go Financial Tips, and I could also do a cash flow projection for you. So it's really, not a budget, it's basically cash flow. Because the word budget, nobody likes the word budget, but it's really just understanding, the cash you have available, and, figuring out what other options. There may be some government benefits that you're entitled to that you might not know about. There may be ways to structure your cash flow more efficiently. You may, want to gift your children assets now to reduce your taxable income, but then you can also do what's called a family loan, and you can, have your children pay you what they would have paid for a mortgage. So there's all kinds of creative ways to look at cash flow, but it really comes down to what's most important to you. So I'm happy to talk to anyone if they have any questions, concerns, and it's really just about making sure that you have all of the you understand all of the options that are available to you.
Awesome.
There, we'll stop sharing.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
That was quick, quick and dirty, because I think one thing is, financial, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to talk about financial stuff, but I think it's really just tying it all together, just making sure that everyone is aware of what the options are. And, and it's funny because, we're looking at downsizing our property, and, the problem is it's almost right sizing now because housing prices have, gotten so expensive. So we've kind of reevaluated, where we want to go. And, my husband's still working from home, so that is kind of a challenge as well. I mean, we can't really just cut ties and leave because we have, we don't know what his situation is going to be like. So yeah, there's just a lot of options. It really depends on what's important to you. I mean, if you want to stay in your home and you've got healthcare issues, you can retrofit your home. There's lots of government grants for that. You can do reverse mortgage to help out. You can do lines of credit. If you need the funds to fund your lifestyle, again, it's just understanding, does it make sense to invest at all? Does it make sense to potentially have a mortgage because interest rates are so low? Generally over time, you could probably invest your money for anywhere from, 5-6% annually, whereas interest rates are only at about 2%. So, you're basically making 3% on your money. So it's really just, again, making sure that you just understand all of your options. And there's, so many resources here to help you. And that's really what, Scott is, wanting to do, and I'm wanting to do, and
Exactly.
Gidget and Krista is just make sure that you understand your options.
One of the things that we talked about in the past, Heather, was just like future costs that people don't think about, right? I mean, you're young and healthy, and you're planning for retirement and all that, and you kind of got a good cash flow on that. But one of them was health. Like if something happens, like any thoughts on like kind of scenarios that that you might be in the future that you need to plan for.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of goes hand in hand with trying to figure out where you want to live, because you could go move to somewhere like Georgina or to St. Catharines, but if you can't have access to the healthcare there, then that's a challenge. So we have a place up in Sawa Beach near Owen Sound, and there was 3 couples, and we said, yeah, we're gonna buy, and then we're gonna retire. And one couple decided to retire early, but the problem is there's no healthcare up here. So basically they have to drive back and forth to Toronto. So that's gas expense that they hadn't thought of. That's time expense. So there's as well, there is a product called long-term care insurance, but the problem is unless you get it in your early, probably 30s, the pricing is just ridiculous. And now what we're seeing is a lot of people that are using it, and the insurance companies are being much more restrictive on how they distribute the funds. So generally it's going to, like a line of credit or, a reverse mortgage is probably going to help fund that. The other challenge is if you're living together and then one of the couple ends up with some sort of chronic illness like Alzheimer's, and you have to go into a retirement home. Well, that's a challenge because that's something that you never thought about. So, again, it's really just about knowing what your options are. So with that case, you can actually do what's called an involuntary separation, where you can separate your assets and, so it doesn't attack all of your assets for the need to fund the long-term care. But yeah, it definitely is a challenge. But again, it's all about, making sure you understand what your cash flow is and what potential costs could be in the future.
Another question that comes up quite often is, aging parents, and how to help them, and how to kind of have the conversations with them that maybe it's time for them to downsize, or move in with you, or get something. But I know we've talked quite a bit about kind of having the conversation and helping your parents.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the other seminar that I talked about, the advocacy and aging. I mean, that kind of goes a little bit into that more in depth, because the challenge is it's almost like flipping a switch from being the child to being the caregiver. And that's very challenging. And, at the end of the day, it's someone that has Alzheimer's and that needs additional care and needs additional help and needs help making those decisions doesn't know that they need that help. And what I find with, Alzheimer's, that I'm speaking with the Alzheimer's Society, there's kind of 2 different types of emotions that come out from someone that has a chronic illness like that. One is they get very aggressive, and the other, they get very passive. And there's no way of knowing which way is gonna, that's gonna happen. So I've had clients where their parents have, they've had no problem. They've basically been able to plan, sell their house, move them into long-term care. They haven't had issues with that. They've got enough money to fund that. And others where they'll, fight them tooth and nail. They basically, end up being alienated. So it's really, again, just having that conversation ahead of time And it's hard because, again, it's, flipping that switch from the child to the caregiver. And it's a delicate conversation because families don't like to talk about money. It's something that, that demographic never talked about. I mean, I'm sure, Scott, you never talked to your parents about money,
Never.
and I think that it's just having the conversation, opening up the lines of communication, but just understanding the options as well. So if there is kind of a transition point where you could either have care come in, they could sell their home, and then move in with you, because then at that point, you could even use that money to build some sort of nanny suite, because in that case, then there's actually tax credits that are available for that. So there's caregiver credits, there's a disability tax credit. So, it could help with that financial situation that way.
Right. So kind of flipping the switch a little bit, how about how, like a lot of boomers are, you mentioned the sandwich generation, and how about, adult children living at home? What are some of your thoughts on creative ways to, kind of help them get going with, buying their own home, or, kind of, getting, starting to build some of their own equity?
Yeah, and I think that again is, is a challenge, because you've got situations where it's really expensive for, kids to buy a property. Not only do they have to have down payment, they also have to have income to support it. And, what I've found with a number of my clients is we've gone through the planning with them so they know how much money they need. And then we've kind of broken out some of that money to help support the kids. And what you have to be mindful of that is, if you're gifting money to your children, what, the payback implications of that are. So you could be in a situation where you don't need the money and it's just going to be a pre-gift. And you could be in a situation where you actually in the future may need cash flow from that. So you can set up all kinds of different agreements where, instead of the child getting a mortgage that they may not qualify for, they can pay you a portion, a percentage. So say if it was $100,000, it's going to make 4%, whatever that would be, they would pay you monthly instead of paying the bank. So, there's that challenge, but then there's also, again, making sure that if your kids are living with you, that you have rules in place so that they start saving, so that they have a plan. So I worked with a client a year ago. He just started a new job and we had a plan in place. So basically he stayed at home and he helped fund, he gave his parents some money, but he also then changed his lifestyle so that he could save enough money. So over a year, he accumulated about $75,000 himself. And then his parents helped out with another 150, and then he was able to buy a property, and that was within a year. But it was because we had a plan in place that we figured out where he needed to be and how to get him there. So it's really, again, having a plan. I think that, if your kids move in, and when I say kids, I mean, 25, 26, 27, if they move in with you, there has to be ground rules, just as when they were younger. But it just, so you're not there to support them 100%. You have to have some sort of exit plan for them.
And it's so hard these days because with like prices so high, it's very tough for them to buy. But maybe the rentals are in short supply. So.
Well, that's true. And that's the challenge between, the cost of rentals. I mean, you're looking at what, $2,500 a month for, a condo, and then looking at the balance between buying as opposed to renting. So, we've got 2 adult children, and my daughter's in Ottawa and my son and his girlfriend live in Burlington, and we help them both, buy places. And basically, the things that you have to be aware of are, legal agreements, making sure that if they're not married, what's the payback and what plans are in place to make sure that that money is not at risk. Actually, I was just reading an article, and it was in the UK. Basically, this couple got married, and the father helped him with the property, and the daughter-in-law knew that he helped, but they didn't have the conversation about what the requirements of payback or whatever the money that was given to help buy the house was a gift. So they came basically after about 6 months after the funeral. The father came and said, okay, well, my son and I signed this agreement because this house was actually in the son's name, and said, yeah, you have to pay this money back to the son's wife, who had no idea that it wasn't a gift, it was a loan. So you just really, again, it's like having a plan. You just have to understand what your options are and what, the rules are, and the ground rules. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a challenge for people, for young people wanting to move out, but it's doable, again, as long as you have a plan.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what is holding boomers from moving
Right.
forward themselves, because they're kind of forced to stay in age in place where maybe this would be a great time to find something different that's like the world's your oyster out there, and now is the perfect opportunity when, especially with COVID, you've got the opportunity now. You can you don't have to live where you're working. And
yeah, and I think it's a lot of it is fear, and it's overwhelm, because again, like my kids don't want any of my stuff, and I've got my husband's mom passed away, so we have their stuff. His dad passed away, we've got their stuff. His grandmother passed away, we've got their stuff. So we have everyone's stuff,
yeah,
but nobody wants it. So, I mean, I'm mindful of the fact that, yeah, I have to figure out what to do with it. And it's different things. I mean, now it's more experiences than things that are important. I mean, it used to be, to the boomers and the generation before, rural Daltons were important. China was important, but doesn't mean anything to my kids.
yeah.
It's really just, figuring out what you want. And at the end of the day, I mean, you've worked hard for where you are, and why not be able to enjoy it? You shouldn't be in a position where you have to worry about, paying a bill. Maybe you're in a property where the expenses are too much, and you think that, there's got to be, you have to do some renovations. And, at the end of the day, there's so many people that are looking to buy. I wouldn't, worry about renovations. It's all about making it look nice and look livable. And Scott is and Gidget are those are people you need to talk to make sure that they can give you tips. Scott worked with one of my clients, and they were a bit of hoarders, and but they ended up selling their property for way more than they thought, but they just had no they just thought they would never be able to organize all their stuff.
Yeah, and they, that was kind of another kind of a question too, and a point that we've discussed before is, they moved into a condo apartment, and they looked at their finances, and it was actually a lot cheaper for them to live in the condo, even with higher condo fees, than living in their house. It was actually, it saved them a lot of money on a monthly basis for cash flow.
Yeah. And so this couple, they're younger, and unfortunately, the husband had a disability. So they thought that, they would never be able to, they didn't know how they were going to transition from a house to a condo, but they kind of needed to, because, with his health declining, if something happened to him, she would have been a mess. So, it was making sure they understood the implications of not today, but then not planning for the future. And, again, and if you're comfortable in your home, then there's nothing to say you can't stay there. And for us as well, like, we used the market increase in prices to then be able to pull out some equity and help our kids, because it was more tax efficient for us to pull equity out of our property than to cash in investments. Because last year, actually, our portfolio was up like 15%. So we're
Wow.
borrowing money at 2 and we're making 15. So, economics, we're ahead like 13%. So.
Yeah. And that's kind of a big point that you made there on, getting things in place, right? So that you don't have a lot of loose ends, because that's what holds people from moving forward. In my experience, the reason that people get stuck because they don't have things together. And it's not only just finances. It's like, having your house decluttered. You have all that stuff in there, and having your will in place, having your power of attorney in place, just having everything, well documented, so that, just so that you got it organized. And, things evolve so much in our lives that we kind of get to where we are, and there's kind of like a goat path that got us there, and nobody else would be able to recreate that, right? So, it's just a combination of the whole package of like getting it all together, so that that you can kind of get past the resistance of being overwhelmed, I guess, or for a better word.
Yeah, and I think that as well,
yeah.
Some people think that we haven't seen it, that they're embarrassed to talk to you because their situation is unique. And while it is unique to you, and we do treat everyone with, respect and the fact that it's your situation, we've probably seen it before. So don't ever be embarrassed about, wanting to reach out and have a conversation with someone about, making your life better, or just asking the questions, because maybe just by talking about it, sometimes when I ask for advice, I really don't want advice, especially, I just want I want to hear myself say it so that I can think out, the answer in my head. And I'll talk to my daughter about things, and she knows now that sometimes, like, she'll always say, did you want, advice on that? Or is that just something that, you're just talking it out? So sometimes, talking it over gets it out of your head, and gets you open to the possibilities of what's out there. And let's face it, it's the last 2 years have been scary, and God bless everyone who has gone through. I don't know how Gidget has done it with 3 young kids, and God bless you trying to work and and as well, like, homeschool them when you had to, and but everyone's had challenges, and it's really just about talking to people that you trust to help you through the next step, and that's what I think this group of the Boomers on the Move team is really some people that you can talk to, and with no judgment, and just information that is going to help you make a decision.
Sure. And Heather, like, as part of the dilemma that we're talking about here too, is like, the choice that people are, I think the Royal LePage survey said 52% of baby boomers were deciding to stay and age in place and renovate. And, that kind of leads to, if you ever needed the funds out of your house, we've talked about or alluded to the reverse mortgage scenario and that, but and just as an aside, like, I had a client who was 90, I think she's 97 now. She called me when she was 93, and she said, "Scott, you have to sell my house. I've run out of money. I don't have any money left." And so we talked about it more, and she didn't want to sell her house. She wants to to stay there to the to the last moment. But we were able to organize a reverse mortgage for her that she was even had enough money to give some money to her children, so that they could enjoy it while she was alive. But can you maybe talk a little bit more about that? Like, if you need some renovation in your house, if you need to add, wider doorways for a wheelchair in the future, or add like a stair lift, or, some things for accessibility, that's all it takes money, but, can you talk a little bit about how your clients deal with that?
Yeah, and it really depends on, again, what resources you have. So, obviously available cash is the first step to figure that out, but that may not be the most, economic or efficient, because, you kind of think you got to look at what it would cost you to borrow that versus what you're giving up by taking it out of investment. So looking at, again, the equity in your house. So if you need funds, there's a couple ways to get equity out. One would be a line of credit or a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. There's obviously different criteria around that. So if you don't have cash flow to be able to make those payments, then that option isn't available to you. Then there is the reverse mortgage option. So depending on your age, you're going to have more available. And really all that is just a way, it's just to take the money out of the property and let you stay in the property, and you can structure it so there's no payments, so that there's some payments. And it really is, again, a tool to be able to help you figure out and maintain the lifestyle that you want. And again, it really goes to that. I always ask, where do you want to be? And what resources you have, where are you now, and figure out in between how you get there. And depending on your situation, then there's the different tools to help you get there. But reverse mortgage is not right for everyone. But, if that is your only source of income and you need to do renovations so you can stay there comfortably and you don't want to move, then yeah, it's definitely an option. But if you don't understand how it can fit into your overall situation, then you have to have the plan in place to make it work.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it sure worked for my client. I call her a couple of times a year, and she says, "Yeah, I'm still ticking," and she's happy, and she's not driving anymore, and but she's happy that she's living in her house. And the reverse mortgage really worked for her, and even with the equity increases in her house over the last couple of years, she's got even more equity to live on now for if she lives to 105, then she's still got lots of equity that just keeps on building for her. And
yeah, I mean, it was a great time, because I remember it was probably 3 years ago that happened. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
And I would have said her house at that time was worth maybe about 750, 800, possibly 850 maybe. And I'm guessing now that her house would be worth 1.5, 1.6.
Yeah.
So it actually worked pretty good for her.
Yeah, and you got to remember too that your house basically is a pool of. When I talk to my clients, I never really use the house value as a value that you might need to supplement your retirement income. I look at it as kind of your housing option. So, if you needed to downsize. So she definitely could have downsized and moved into a condo. But for her, maybe it was proximity to family. Maybe it was proximity to, the community that she didn't want to move out. And that's the challenge is, as you move to different communities, it may or may not make sense, from a social perspective. So my parents actually moved to our place up north in Saddle Beach, and they actually found it very difficult to break into the community because it was very cliquey. So that's a challenge as well. So you really kind of have to almost stay there for a few weeks, like maybe rent, so go to, Keswick and rent a place, or go to Blue Mountain and rent a place and see, on a general day. So not a weekend, because weekends really are not, weekends are not a typical day. So you got to see like the day-to-day, operations of a community and if it fits in with you. And then, where do you go buy groceries and, things like that. So, so they found it, quite difficult, and they actually ended up moving back out east into an apartment, and they love it because it's all one floor. It's a small space. They're with friends, and that they grew up, a community where they grew up. So for them, even though they love the area, the social part of it didn't connect for them.
Right.
So that's really important to know.
Yeah. So, we're talking about the dilemma of stay or go here. And, some people live in a dilemma their whole lives. Like, it's just like, should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? And it goes on for years, right? And they never make a decision. And it's, because of fear, it's because, they can't decide. What, in your view, what's the drawback of not making a decision on something like this?
Not enjoying your life, really, because you always have that overshadowing in your head of, and if you don't ask the questions, it's really just about asking the questions and talking to the right people, because there's always going to be regret in life. And I think that unfortunately the media has a really bad way of making everything look doom and gloom. So today is the worst day, but then tomorrow is going to be the worst day.
Yeah, they want to polarize. They polarize, right?
Yeah, so you got to remember that the news and the media is there to sell a product. I mean, they want you to, to buy their papers, to watch their news. But what's happening out in the world sometimes really doesn't matter to you, because you can let everything weigh on you, but again, really just, if any advice is just live for today, because you never know and just ask the questions, ask a professional to help, because I think, in any area, whether it's the downsizing, whether it's, the banking industry, whether it's investments, whether it's wills and estates, or real estate, there's always people that are there to help give you advice. And if people won't give you half an hour of their time, then you need to move on and find someone who will, because there's always someone that is willing to give you advice. I know for me, I've been in the industry for long enough that I think that there's so much education that I can give and help people with that I'm happy to provide, half hour of, advice just to help people get on track and help people understand what's important to them. But, it's again, just, it's time for you. It's time to, take charge and just ask the questions. And at least if you ask the questions and it's not the answers you want to hear, and you're like, yeah, that's why I don't want to move, then at least you've asked the questions. But if you don't, sometimes you don't even know the questions to ask.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
Because honestly, who would have thought, Angela was saying, you have to roll your window up, and, there's the bird sounds or something. I mean, I probably would have a heart attack.
The bird bangers.
The bird bangers. I mean, I didn't know anything about that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and even like our place up north, I mean, all you hear is ATVs and snowmobiles. So if you don't, like the roar of engines, then this isn't the place for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Really. Yeah. That's, and, the other part of that too is, and I started off the presentation talking about a vision board and, making your list, because sometimes you have to kind of write things down so that you kind of understand what it is that, you want to, because I mean, you want to dream still, right? You want to dream, and you want to see what the next phase of your life is going to look like. It's the first day of the start of the rest of your life, right? And so having a vision of what you want to get out of your life is so important, no matter what age you are. And if you do plan and you do imagine it, that's typically how people get to their dreams, is by making making a vision for it and making goals out of their visions, right? So
Yeah, and I think it's important to, remember as well, like we as Canadians, are kind of taught to, just do what everyone else does, and, don't ask a lot of questions, and, be polite. And, but you know what, I think that we also forget that even though it may seem, it's only fearful because we don't have the information. And the more information you gather, sometimes that's a bad thing too, because you could just, I am a total, research freak. So, in university, when I was, given a project, I would go take out, 20 books on the subject. But sometimes it's asking, then I would ask my professor what I should do next. And it's really just getting the guidance from someone else. And I think the people that know what they're doing in the specific industry, they're always going to be there to support you, and they're not going to steer you wrong. So there's always going to be people that'll say, yeah, sell your house and do this. But I know for a fact that if you're working with Scott and you want to sell your house, he's going to make sure that everything goes smoothly, from you buying the place and knowing that, you can afford it and that it's going to work for you, and the selling of the place too, because he's, there's people in that you can work with that are money-based, and there's people that are heart-based. And, Scott has a big heart, and he will make sure that that I think, that it'll work, that it's going to work out. So I think the biggest key is to ask the questions, find out if it's going to work for you. And, the market, everyone's saying, oh, the prices are this and that, but you know what, if it's something that you want to do, then there's always a way to make it work. And, risk is something that it's just as risky to not do something as it is, to do something. So there's just as much risk involved. So you might as well, enjoy it, because you never know what life's going to hold in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you can actually do things that will make your life better if you take action and do it. And
we're all here to support you. This is a big group of people that have been through this with a number of clients. I've been in the industry for 30 years. Scott's been in the industry for, I don't know how many,
17.
30?
17.
So we've pretty much seen it all. And if you tell us what you want, or you tell Scott what you want, he'll figure out a way to make it happen.
That's it. Yeah, that's it for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Heather. I appreciate your information and taking the time out today. And I've worked with Heather now probably for 10 years, and it's always she's always comes in and helps me in the clincher, because in my job, I can't be a jack of all trades, and Heather's just been there to help my clients when they need them. Anything from figuring out their taxes, getting their taxes filed, and making sure that they're getting the benefits that they can get, to just kind of mediating any differences between couples in a family. And Heather's also a certified mediator, and so she's been, when two people in a family have different ideas of what they want, and it gets polarized, Heather's a linchpin for coming in and helping them to work through things, and she's helped me with that many times. So thank you, Heather. And is there any questions at all from anybody that while we're here, you can just put the question into the chat box here, and we'd be happy to answer that now.
So I've put my information in the chat. So if anyone wants to, book a half-hour session with me or email me with any questions you have, happy to answer any questions, whether it's to do with, cash flow or caregiving or, helping a adult child, how you figure out if, you can help them buy a property.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Heather. I think that probably wraps it up for today. And